यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा कृष्ण रुक्मिणी जय सत्यभामा जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जय मिशपाद परमंस परिव्राजकतर अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय श्री श्री कृष्ण रुक्मिणी सत्यभामा की जय श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. Can we pull this extra mat, put it here so that devotees can sit in the front, and this mat can be brought to the more to this side, to the center. Join this to this. So devotees can come forward You don't have to be backbenchers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Text number 28. Ete cham sakalaha pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrarivyakulam lokam Mridayanti yuge yuge Ete cham sakalaha pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrarivyakulam lokam Mridayanti yuge yuge. Yete, all these, cha, and, amsha, plenary portions, kalaha, portions of the plenary portions, pumsaha, of the Supreme, Krishna, Lord Krishna, to, but, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Swayam, in person, Indra Ari, the enemies of Indra, Vyakulam, disturbed, Lokam, all the planets, Mridayanti, gives protection, Yuge Yuge, in different ages. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. Kindly repeat. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It's a long purport. 2¼ pages. In this particular stanza, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is distinguished from other incarnations. He is counted amongst the avatars, incarnations, because out of His causeless mercy, the Lord descends from His transcendental abode. Avatara means one who descends. All the incarnations of the Lord, including the Lord Himself, descend on the different planets of the material world, as also in different species of life, to fulfill particular missions. Sometimes he comes himself, and sometimes his different plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions or his differentiated portions, directly or indirectly empowered by him, descend on this material world to execute certain specific functions. Originally, the Lord is full of all opulences, all prowess, all fames, all beauties, all knowledge, and all renunciations. When they are partly manifested through the plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions, it should be noted that certain manifestations of his different powers are required for those particular functions. When in the room small electric bulbs are displayed, it does not mean that the electric powerhouse is limited by the small bulbs. The same powerhouse can supply power to operate large-scale industrial dynamos with greater volts. Similarly, the incarnations of the Lord display limited powers because so much power is needed at that particular time. For example, Lord Parashurama and Lord Narasimha displayed unusual opulence by killing the disobedient Kshatriyas 21 times and killing the greatly powerful atheist Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that even the demigods in other planets would tremble simply by the unfavorable raising of his eyebrow. The demigods in the higher levels of material existence many times excel the most well-to-do human beings in duration of life, beauty, wealth, paraphernalia, and in all other respects. Still, they were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Thus, we can simply imagine how powerful Hiranyakashipu was in this material world. But even Hiranyakashipu was cut into small pieces by the nails of Lord Narasimha. This means that anyone materially powerful cannot stand the strength of the Lord's nails. Similarly, Jamadagnya displayed the Lord's power to kill all the disobedient kings powerfully situated in their respective states. The Lord's empowered incarnation, Narada, and plenary incarnation, Varaha, as well as indirectly empowered Lord Buddha, created faith in the mass of the people. The incarnations of Rama and Dhanvantari displayed his fame, and Balarama, Mohini, and Vamana exhibited his beauty. Dattatreya, Matsya, Kumara, and Kapila exhibited his transcendental knowledge. Nara and Narayana Rishis exhibited his renunciation. So, all the different incarnations of the Lord, indirectly or directly, manifested different features. But Lord Krishna, the primeval Lord, exhibited the complete features of Godhead, and thus it is confirmed that he is the source of all other incarnations. And the most extraordinary feature exhibited by Lord Sri Krishna was his internal energetic manifestation of his pastimes with the cowherd girls. His pastimes with the gopis are all displays of transcendental existence, bliss, and knowledge, although these are manifested apparently as sex love. The specific attraction of his pastimes with the gopis should never be misunderstood. The Bhagavatam relates these transcendental pastimes in the 10th canto, and in order to reach the position to understand the transcendental nature of Lord Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, the Bhagavatam promotes the student gradually in 9 other cantos. According to Srila Jiva Goswami's statement, in accordance with authoritative sources, Lord Krishna is the source of all other incarnations. It is not that Lord Krishna has any source of incarnation. All the symptoms of the Supreme Truth in full are present in the person of Lord Sri Krishna. And in the Bhagavad-gita, the Lord emphatically declares that there is no truth greater than or equal to himself. In this stanza, the word Swayam is particularly mentioned to confirm that Lord Krishna has no other source than himself. Although in other places the incarnations are described as Bhagavan because of their specific functions, nowhere are they declared to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this stanza, the word Swayam signifies the supremacy as the Summum Bonum. The Summum Bonum, Krishna, is one without a second. He himself has expanded himself in various parts, portions, and particles as Swayam Rupa, Swayam Prakasha, Tadekatma, Prabhava, Vaibhava, Vilasa, Avatara, Avesha, and Jivas, all provided with innumerable energies just suitable to the respective persons and personalities. Learned scholars in transcendental subjects have carefully analyzed the Summum Bonum Krishna to have 64 principal attributes. All the expansions or categories of the Lord possess only some percentages of these attributes. But Sri Krishna is the possessor of the attributes 100%. And his personal expansion, such as Swayam Prakasha, Tadekatma, up to the categories of the avatars, who are all Vishnu Tattva, possess up to 93% of these transcendental attributes. Lord Shiva, who is neither avatara nor avesha, nor in between them, possesses almost 84% of the attributes. But the jivas, or the individual living beings in different statuses of life, possess up to the limit of 78% of the attributes. In the conditioned state of material existence, the living being possesses these attributes in very minute quantity, varying in terms of the pious life of the living being. The most perfect of living beings is Brahma, the supreme administrator of one universe. He possesses 78% of the attributes in full. All other demigods have the same attributes in less quantity, whereas human beings possess the attributes in very minute quantity. The standard of perfection for a human being is to develop the attributes up to 78% in full. The living being can never possess attributes like Shiva, Vishnu, or Lord Krishna. A living being can become godly by developing the 78% transcendental attributes in fullness, but he can never become a god like Shiva, Vishnu, or Krishna. He can become a Brahma in due course. The godly living beings, who are all residents of the planets in the spiritual sky, are eternal associates of God in different spiritual planets called Haridhama and Mahesha Dhama. The abode of Lord Krishna above all spiritual planets is called Krishna Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. And the perfected living being, by developing 78% of the above attributes in fullness, can enter the planet of Krishna Loka after leaving the present material body. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mokam karoti vachalam pangam langhayate girim yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Shri Krishna Arpaniya Satyabhama ki. Few years back, when I used to do the service of going out and meeting various people, encouraging them to donate to the temple in Bangalore. While going out, we meet all kinds of people, different kinds of people we come across. I so happened to meet a person who was from another sampradaya. He was from the Sri Sampradaya. Not a practicing Sri Vaishnava like that, but born in a Sri Vaishnava family. He was the MD of some company, having his own company, industry. And young chap, young means middle-aged person. He was very nice to receive me and spoke to me very warmly. And he told me how, when he was studying in college, he happened to study in Australia. He was doing his M.Tech or something like that in Australia. And he would go to the local ISKCON temple there. And he would be very happy to receive prasadam there. And he enjoyed the kirtan there, the deities and all that. So he said he always had a special place in his heart for ISKCON. Naturally, when you go abroad, you are outside your country, you are in a different culture, different atmosphere. So you will be thirsting to connect back to your culture and roots. So it was like like an elixir for him to be able to come across an ISKCON temple in Australia, a foreign country, where he could go and he could pray to his own Lord Krishna and all that. So nicely we were discussing, and I was asking him, are you chanting Hare Krishna and all those kind of stuff. And as the discussion went on, he said, but only difference is in my Sampradaya, the understanding is that Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you tell that Krishna is the Supreme Person. But according to our understanding, Narayana is the Supreme Person. So it was a very friendly discussion. So I told him, but Krishna tells in the Bhagavad-gita that Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, I am the source of everything. Matta Parataram Nanyatan Kinchidasi, there is nothing superior to me. So all these kind of things Krishna tells in the Bhagavad-gita. So that is the basis for our accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then he said, but then in the Bhagavad-gita, in the 10th chapter, the Krishna, when he was speaking to Arjuna, he showed his Narayana Rupa. And that Narayana Rupa, his four-handed form, is declared as the supreme form of the Supreme Lord. After showing the Virat Rupa, the Narayana form was showed. And then after Narayana, Krishna showed his two-handed form. So the two-handed form of Krishna has come from the four-handed form of Narayana. Therefore, Narayana is supreme. So these kind of logic you can hear from different kinds of people. Of course, nothing was in any bad taste. It was all a friendly discussion going on. But you will find this kind of arguments given by different people about why Krishna is an incarnation and Narayana is supreme. Another reason given is Narayana has four arms, Krishna has only two. Therefore, Narayana must be supreme because he has got four arms. Yet others, they say, Krishna descended to this material world. Narayana never descends from Vaikuntha. He is always in Vaikuntha. That means he is the Supreme Person. So, different kinds of arguments like this we can come across. And they have their reasoning, they have their logic, they have their acharyas and spiritual masters who have given them all this understanding. So, if we actually see, if we really analyze the scriptures, what the scriptures are saying, the four-handed form of Narayana, which was revealed in the Bhagavad-gita, and after which Krishna revealed his two-handed form, that Narayana form did not jump out of the blue. It did not appear out of the sky. That Narayana form was shown first by Krishna only. First two-handed form Krishna was there. Then he showed his Virat Rupa to Arjuna, telling, I am giving you divine vision by which you can see. And then Krishna showed his four-handed form. And then Krishna told Arjuna, he is going to show him a form which is very difficult even for the devatas to see. And then he showed his two-handed form. So, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, our understanding is, even that Narayana is coming from Krishna only. It is not that Krishna is coming from Narayana. No, Narayana is coming from Krishna. So, people, as far as the logic goes, that Narayana has four arms and Krishna has only two. Therefore, Narayana must be supreme. If the number of arms was any criterion of the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, then we have so many other devatas who display far greater number of arms. Just like we read in the Srimad-Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, when the baby girl born to Yashoda Mai was brought by Vasudeva back to the dungeon of Kamsa, and because Vasudeva wanted to keep it a secret that Krishna was the person who was born to him. and Devaki. So he brought the daughter, he swamped Krishna with the daughter born to Yashoda Mai and brought the daughter to the dungeon. And when Kamsa came, both Vasudeva and Devaki tried to dissuade Kamsa from killing the girl, saying that this is after all a girl, you don't have to fear anything from a girl. So you are to be killed by a boy, but boy is not born, it is a girl, so leave her. But Kamsa did not listen. He was so cruel that newborn baby he picked up and he was about to dash the child on a stone floor to kill the child. Suddenly, the baby girl slipped away from Kamsa's hand and appeared in the sky as the 800 Durga. So, that Durga, she told Kamsa, "Oh Kamsa, you are such a cruel person. Why are you unnecessarily torturing your sister and your brother-in-law? The person who is supposed to kill you is already somewhere else." And she disappeared. So this Durga who appeared at that time in the dungeon, she had 8 arms. So 8 is more than 4. So Durga must be superior to Narayana. Okay, forget this. In when Varahadev was rescuing Mother Earth, Bhumi Devi, from the waters, where from the depths of the Garbhodaka ocean, where Hiranyaksha, where the demon Hiranyaksha had hidden her. So Varahadev went into the depths of the ocean, picked up Mother Earth by his tusks, and he emerged from the water. And at that time, Hiranyaksha challenged Varahadev, and then there was a fight between both of them, and Varahadev, he vanquished Hiranyaksha. Now, because Bhumi Devi was touched by Varahadev's tusks, she gave birth to a son. So this son was called Narakasura. So this Narakasura was born as the son of Varahadev and Bhumi Devi. And this Narakasura, what he did, he became friends with another Asura, whose name was Banasura. And because of his association with him, Narakasura also became an Asura, even though he was a son of Vishnu himself. Now this Banasura, he was a descendant of Prahlad Maharaj. And being a descendant of Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, he had become very powerful. And he had appeased Lord Shiva. And by appeasing Lord Shiva, he had got a benediction of possessing 1,000 arms. So, if you go by that, then Banasura is superior even to Durga. So, Banasura must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he has got 1,000 arms. So, which we all know is not true. So, the number of arms that a person possesses cannot be the criterion for deciding who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna may be having only 2 arms, but he is still the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as far as the argument that goes, that Narayana never descends from the spiritual world. Krishna descends from the spiritual world to the material world. Therefore, Narayana is supreme, also doesn't hold water. Why? Because in the Bhagavatam it is stated, Etad Ishanam Ishasya Prakritistopi Tadgunaihi na yujyate. The test of the supremacy of the Supreme Lord is when, even in the midst of material nature, the Supreme Lord is completely unaffected by material nature. Prakriti or matter, Maya, can never overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of us, Jivas, we are all controlled by the 3 gunas of the material Prakriti. Sattva guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna have full sway over us. But the same Prakriti can have no influence upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he may be right in the midst of that Prakriti. Krishna descended from the spiritual world into this material world. And even though he was in the middle of the material world, He was completely unaffected by Maya. This actually stands testimony to the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just because Narayana does not descend from the spiritual world to the material world does not necessarily mean that he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. The criterion is different. The criterion is, even in the midst of Maya, the Supreme Lord remains unaffected, which was displayed by Krishna so wonderfully. So, coming back to today's verse, in today's verse it is stated, Ete chamsa kalaha pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All these, who are all these? Ete, who are all these? It is referring to all the incarnations which have been described in the previous verses. The incarnation of Vishnu, the incarnation of Mohini, the incarnation of the fish, the boar, Narasimha, Narada Muni, the Kumaras, all these kinds of incarnations have been described in the Bhagavatam up to now. Now, the Bhagavatam is saying, out of all these incarnations, they are all Kala or Amsha. So, Amsha means plenary portions and Kala means portions of the plenary portions. So, all these incarnations are portions of the plenary portions or the plenary portions of whom? Of Pumsaha, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this list, which has been given already, Krishna is also included. So therefore, somebody may argue Krishna is already given in the list. And this verse is saying, Ete jamsa kala pumsaha. All the incarnations are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Supreme Lord. And that list includes Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is also the incarnation of Narayana. Krishna su Bhagavan Swayam. So Krishna is also the one of the plenary portions of the Supreme Lord. That is what this means. Somebody may argue. So for that, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Dasa Kaviraja Goswami says, Anuvadam anuktvatu videyam na udirayet. When we, as a rule of grammar, when we form a sentence, Anuvadam anuktvatu, without mentioning the subject, videyam na udirayet, one cannot mention the predicate. What is the subject and what is the predicate? Subject means what is the central point, what is the sentence revolving around. And predicate means what describes the subject of that sentence. For example, if we say, this Vipra is a greatly learned scholar. So what is the subject of this? The subject of this sentence is Vipra. Vipra is the subject. That is that Vipra is the person about whom the sentence is talking. So that Vipra is the subject. So this Vipra, when we say this Vipra, means the subject is known. We are talking about this man who is standing right here. This Vipra, so about this man, that this man is a Vipra is already known. But what is not known? This Vipra is a greatly learned person. That he is a learned person was not known before this sentence was made. So when I say, you know this Vipra is a greatly learned person. What will they say? Oh, is that so? I didn't know that. So that means you knew the Vipra, but you did not know that he was a greatly learned person. Therefore, that greatly learned person is called the predicate and the Vipra is called the subject of the sentence. Now, if you know the Vipra, but you don't know he's a greatly learned person, you cannot put the predicate before. I cannot tell you the greatly learned person is the Vipra. You'll be saying, which greatly learned person? I don't know any greatly learned person. No, the Vipra. No, I know the Vipra, but I don't think he's a learned scholar. No, he's a greatly learned scholar. Vacha, he's a greatly learned scholar. See, when you say he is a greatly learned scholar, you're putting the predicate after the subject. Then you understand, oh, this is what it is. If you put the predicate before the subject, then you cannot understand what the sentence is talking about. So, he says, what is the subject and what is the predicate of this sentence we have to see. Nahi alabdas padam kinchit kutrachit pratitishthati. So, the predicate cannot stand on its own. One subject must be known, and about the known subject, after mentioning the known subject, you put the predicate, then the sentence makes sense. Otherwise, if you put the predicate first, the sentence will collapse. It will not make any sense. So now, what is the subject and what is the predicate in this verse? Ete chamsa kalaha pumsaha. So, all the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. So, the predicate here in this sentence they are plenary portions or plenary portions of the Supreme Lord. So, what is the subject? Subject is all these incarnations. So, all these incarnations have already been mentioned. So, the subject is known. About the known subject, what is now being stated? What was unknown earlier? So many incarnations were listed. Meena incarnation, Kurma incarnation, Varaha incarnation, Narasimha incarnation, Narada incarnation, Kumara incarnation, Vishnu incarnation. All that was mentioned. What was not known about them? That all of them are incarnations. None of them are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now it is saying, this verse is saying, Ete chamsa kalaha pumsahak pumsaha. So of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all these incarnations, which are all these personalities who have been mentioned, they are incarnations, they are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions. So, subject is all the incarnations who have been mentioned, and what is the predicate? Predicate is they are all plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions. This much is clear. Now, what makes the verse interesting is the next line. The next line says, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Now, what is the subject and what is the predicate of this sentence? Krishna is a subject because Krishna has already been mentioned in the list of incarnations. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. But Lord Sri Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that means the predicate is he is Swayam Bhagavan, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Subject is Krishna. That means predicate was unknown. It was not known that Krishna is the Supreme Person. It was not known. So many lists of incarnations have been listed. In all of them, who is the Supreme Person was not mentioned, but was not known. Now, it is being revealed in the predicate. So that means a new fact is being introduced. So already in the previous line, it has been mentioned, all the above mentioned incarnations are either portions, or either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Supreme Lord. Now, if that Supreme Lord is referring to Narayana, then it's already known now that Narayana is a Supreme Person. So then, Swayam Bhagavan cannot become the predicate for Krishna, who is the subject of the next line. Because predicate always has to be unknown. You cannot state a known thing about a subject as a predicate. It's not possible. It will not make sense. If you already know that this Vipra is a learned scholar, I'll tell you, this Vipra is a greatly learned scholar. I already know. Why are you telling me? I already know. What is the new thing you are telling me? No, he is a greatly learned scholar. Why are you repeating the same thing? I already told you I know. No. You'll get irritated. If you don't know, then that sentence makes sense. So, already in the previous line it is stated, Pumsa of the Supreme Lord, these are all plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions. Then what is the need to again state Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam? No need. So the very fact that it is being stated means the predicate Swayam Bhagavan is unknown. So therefore, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, when it says, it means Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he is the source of all incarnations. All of them are avatars. Krishna is the avatari. Krishna is not an avatara. Moreover, if you look at this sentence of the, if you look at this verse, the words used are very, very crucial. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So the word tu means but. So if you look at this, all these incarnations mentioned until now are plenary portions or plenary portions of the Supreme Lord. But, the moment I say but, what it means? There is something which is different in this what I am going to say. What is that? But Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means Krishna is separated out from the rest of all the incarnations. If Krishna was also an incarnation, then what Shukadeva Goswami should have said? Shukadeva Goswami should have said, Etesham sakala pumsa Krishnascha Bhagavan Swayam. He should have used the word cha. All these people listed here, including Krishna and Krishna, they are all Swayam Bhagavan. They are all Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsaha. Of the Swayam Bhagavan, they are all portions of the plenary portions, or they are all incarnations. He should have used the word cha, but he used the word tu, means but. But means you are immediately differentiating Krishna from the rest of the people. So that differentiation is what? In terms of their being incarnations of the Supreme Lord. But Krishna is not an incarnation. He himself is the source. He is the fountainhead of all incarnations. He is the avatari. He is not the avatara. So you see, now somebody may say that no, this some tu, cha and all these kinds was some small word, maybe for poetic this one or something like that, Vyasadeva might have stated. No. Great personalities like Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami, when they speak something, it is completely free of all faults. We, conditioned souls, we are subjected to 4 defects. Our senses are imperfect, we are liable to commit mistakes, we tend to cheat, and our senses are imperfect. We cannot see beyond the wall, we cannot see what is going to happen tomorrow. So we have all these restrictions. But great personalities like Shukadeva Goswami and Vyasadeva, they are beyond all these imperfections. They can never commit mistakes, and they can see everything of past, present and future. Nothing is hidden from their view. Therefore, this verse, we cannot attribute these words to some error in writing, error in formulating this verse. You cannot say that Vyasadeva, while writing the verse, he must have made some mistake. No, he is beyond all mistake. All perfect. The verses of the Bhagavatam are all perfect. And so therefore, this verse can have no other meaning than that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Now the word Bhagavan, according to the Puranas and the Vedic literature, the word Bhagavan can be used to describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead and also any powerful great personality. Sometimes Lord Shiva is also described as Bhagavan. Narayana is also Bhagavan. Vishnu is also Bhagavan. Sometimes Vyasadeva is also called Bhagavan. Narada Muni is also called Bhagavan. So what is the big difference in calling Krishna also Bhagavan? Krishna is also one of the Bhagavan like them. But there is a difference. What is that? Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Not just another Bhagavan like the rest of the Bhagavans. He is Swayam Bhagavan. So this word Swayam is very, very important. What it means, Swayam Bhagavan, what it means is that this Bhagavan Krishna is Swayam. He is not dependent upon any other cause. He is independently situated. Vishnu may also be Bhagavan, but he is an expansion, a plenary portion of Narayana, and so therefore he has a cause. He is not Swayam Bhagavan. He is not self-dependent, completely, absolutely independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not. Vishnu is not. Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but with a condition that he is emanating from, he is a plenary expansion of Narayana. So the only person who is Swayam Bhagavan, who is himself independently, absolutely the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has no other cause beyond himself, is Swayam Bhagavan. And that is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That is only Krishna. Even Narayana, even though Narayana is Bhagavan, he is also not Swayam Bhagavan. He is also Bhagavan, but he is not Swayam Bhagavan. Why? Because Narayana himself is expanded. He himself is a plenary portion. He is a Vilasa Vigraha expansion of Krishna. And Narayana is expanded from Balarama. So therefore, what we have to understand is that only Krishna is the avatari. Rest, everyone else are avatars or amshas or kalas. Therefore, yete chamsa kalaha Krishna pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So sometimes people say that when Bhagavatam may say like this, but Dashavatara is very famous. What are the Dashavataras? Meena, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Parasurama, Rama, after that Krishna, Balarama, and then Kalki. And then, so these are the 10 incarnations, Dasha Avataras. So just like when we were making the main doors for the temple here, so I had gone to the Stapati who makes the doors. And I told him we want a door with all the Dashavatara on that, carved on that. He said, yes, we can do. So I said, can you show me some samples? So he showed me some samples of Dashavatara he had done. So this was the sequence of things. Kurma, Varaha and all these kind of things, and Krishna is also part of them. So I told him, Krishna is not an avatara, Krishna should not be on this. So then he looked at me, then what is Dashavatara? Then I told him, you remove Krishna. After Rama, you have Balarama, and after Balarama, you have Buddha, and then you have Kalki. So he was like, Buddha is a different religion. So where did Buddha come into Hinduism? He was like, he didn't say anything, but he was seeing stars. So then I asked him, do you know where this Dashavatara comes from? He said, no, I don't know. I mean, traditionally we have all heard of Dashavatara, and we all Stapatis, we all make a Dashavatara in carvings. Every time this is how we make. We have never made Buddha as part of the Dashavatara. So this is something new which I am hearing. So I said, this Dashavatara comes from the Dashavatara Stotra, which is written by Jayadeva Goswami. Jayadeva Goswami was a great Bhakta, he was a great devotee of the Supreme Lord. And he is famous for his Gita Govinda. So he wrote this Dashavatara Stotra. Actually, the Bhagavatam mentions that the number of avatars of the Supreme Lord are unlimited like the waves of the ocean. But then, you cannot unlimitedly glorify the Lord. So Jayadeva Goswami chose 10 prominent incarnations of the Lord and he glorified them in his Dashavatara Stotra. That is how Dashavatara became famous. Whereas although the real fact is the incarnations of the Lord are not limited to 10. The Bhagavatam describes 22 incarnations and then mentions that this list is simply an indicative list of the incarnations of the Supreme Lord. The number of incarnations of the Supreme Lord are unlimited like the waves of the ocean. Can anybody count the waves of the ocean? Impossible. They are unlimited. So the incarnations of the Lord are also like that. But then Jayadeva Goswami, the Bhagavatam, took out 22 most important incarnations and mentioned them. And out of that also, Jayadeva Goswami took 10 of them and he wrote the Dashavatara Stotra, which is how Dashavatara Stotra became famous. Because of it, Dashavatara itself became famous. So, but the Lord's incarnations are not limited to 10. But then, because he glorified, that song became famous. So, Dashavatara, everybody is saying. Now, in that Dashavatara Stotra, whom all does Jayadeva Goswami describe? Jayadeva Goswami describes Keshavadhrita Meena Sharira. So, the Meena, fish incarnation. Keshavadhrita Kurma Sharira, tortoise incarnation. Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa, the half man, half lion incarnation. Keshavadhrita Vamana Rupa, Vamanadev. So he is also described. Keshavadhrita Bhrigupati Rupa, Parasurama is described. Keshavadhrita Rama Sharira, Lord Rama is described. Keshavadhrita Haladhara Rupa, Baladeva is described. Keshavadhrita Buddha Sharira, Buddha is also described. Keshavadhrita Kalki Rupa Sharira, so Kalki is also described. He does not describe Krishna. In fact, every verse of the Dashavatara Stotra, he describes Krishna only. Because everywhere he is saying, Keshavadhrita so and so Rupa. Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa, Keshavadhrita Kurma Sharira, Keshavadhrita Shukara Rupa, Everywhere he is saying Kesava, Krishna has taken this incarnation. So, therefore, he cannot say Kesava Dhrita, Kesava Rupa. He cannot say no. What are you saying? Kesava took the incarnation of Kesava. How can you tell? So there is no description of Krishna in that Dashavatara Stotra. Because every Stotra is mentioning Krishna has incarnated as Vamana, Krishna is incarnated as fish, Krishna is incarnated as Varaha, Krishna is incarnated as Parashurama, Krishna is incarnated as Balarama, Krishna is incarnated as Kalki, and Krishna has incarnated as Buddha. So all of them have incarnated from Krishna only. So Krishna is the avatari. Rest, everyone else is an avatara, which is very clear even to Jayadeva Goswami. Now what has happened is, down the line, some bright guy thought that Buddhism is a different religion, Hinduism is a different religion. So how can Buddha be part of this? Some mistake. So remove Buddha, put Krishna there. You have to put someone there because Dashavatara is famous. So put Krishna there because Krishna is missing in this list. So some bright guy put that there, and that has become the tradition. So this is like Prabhupada mentions how, one wedding was happening. All of you know that story. But anyway, it's an interesting story, so I'll relate it. So one wedding was happening, and one young girl getting married to a young boy, and there was, you know how weddings are in India, big rituals, lot of relatives coming together, a lot of pomp and show, so many, the pujari will also come, so many rituals spread over so many days, the event will be going on. And there is one Havan Homa where different kinds of yajnas will be conducted, reach that point of time. So what happened? A cat entered that assembly hall and it was going around and disturbing all the whatever paraphernalia was kept for the yajna. So everybody said, why, what happened? This cat is creating problem. First you catch the cat, without catching the cat, I will not continue the program. You know, sometimes pujaris are like that. They'll be very adamant. Some small thing goes, they'll get angry and they'll walk off. And then the boy and the girl will be left in the lodge. So the girl's parents, no, don't worry, we'll take care. You know, please don't get angry. And immediately the girl had two brothers. So brothers are in charge of conducting the whole wedding rite. So they ran around, and you know how to catch a cat is not easy. Very, very difficult. You can catch a dog, but catching a cat is very tough. So they're running here, the cat is running there, it is jumping about, it is climbing up. And with great difficulty, the two brothers finally managed to catch the cat. And they brought the cat. See, we caught the cat, Pujari. So now the cat will not create any trouble. So the mother of the girl said, okay, do one thing. You cannot keep holding that cat. So she said, keep the cat here next to the Havan Homakunda. Keep a basket over it. So that if you keep it somewhere else, somebody might open it and the cat may again go free. So keep it here only, right in front of us. Put the basket on the cat. So they put the basket on the cat. Now everything is peaceful. Now you please go ahead. So the pujari said, okay, finally, now I'm fine. He conducted the wedding. Wedding got over. After that, they removed the basket and cat was also released. So several years later, this girl grew up and the husband and wife, they had children. The children grew up. And then one day, this girl who had got married, the couple who had got married, they had a daughter who had to be married. So an alliance was struck, and finally the day of the wedding arrived, and then the wedding ritual started. They had invited a lot of people, and again, the same thing started happening. All the guests had come, relatives, friends, everybody, lot of noise was happening. Then the Havan was going on. Then the boy, the new groom and the girl, they are sitting, getting married. And finally, the Havan came to an end. And the Pujari said, now the boy has to tie the Mangal Sutra to the girl. Immediately, the mother jumped in. No, wait. Everybody looked up. What happened? Normally, the boy's side come and stop the marriage. This time, the girl's side is coming. What happened? She said, there is an important ritual, Pujari ji, you've forgotten. He said, what is that? In our tradition, when I got married, my brothers had to catch one cat and put a basket over it next to the Havan, without which the Mangalya was not tied. You have forgotten that. So this has to happen. Without that, this wedding cannot happen. So then immediately the cousin brothers or somebody, they had to run around, find a cat. At least when this mother was getting married, there was already a cat. They did not have to find one. Here they had to find a cat from somewhere outside, catch it, bring it, put it onto the basket. Then the mother said, now the ritual is complete. Now, Gatimela, do the, now tie the mangalya. So, you see, some incident, something happened, and then later, that becomes the tradition. These are all blind followings. Similarly, somebody got a bright idea, remove Buddha and put Krishna there, and everybody started following. So that is how this Dashavatara has become a very common thing to think that Krishna is also an incarnation. Whereas reality is, Krishna also says in the Bhagavad-gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. After that what? Abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijami aham. This is a famous verse. Everybody in India who is worth his salt knows this verse. Whether Hindu, Christian, Muslim, doesn't matter. They will all know. You go to a Muslim also and ask, he will also tell this verse. So famous because of that Mahabharata serial. Right? Not because we are all very learned in Bhagavad-gita. But what does this verse actually mean? Krishna is saying, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever there is a rise of irreligion, Krishna says an incarnation will come. And Krishna, how does he say it? He says, Tadatmanam srijami aham. I incarnate to re-establish dharma. So, what does that mean? That means all incarnations are coming from Krishna. Krishna is the avatari and all others are subservient to Krishna. Ekale Ishvara Krishna are sabhritya. Krishna is the only Supreme Personality of Godhead. All others are Krishna's servants, including Vishnu and Narayana. They are also servants of Krishna. This is the real import of this verse. Yada yada hi dharmasya bhavati glanihi tadatmanam srijamyaham. So Krishna, and that is why Krishna again states in the Bhagavad-gita, Mattaha parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Very clearly Krishna says, there is nothing superior to me, Krishna says. That means Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. He is absolutely independent. There is no cause beyond him. He is the Samam Bonam, as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. There is no other supreme cause beyond Krishna. So, if you see like this in the Bhagavad-gita, verse after verse after verse, Krishna, what is Krishna telling? Krishna is telling, Nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is nothing beyond me. Matta parataram kinchid nasti. There is nothing beyond me. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of everything. Matta sarvam pravartate. Everything is emanating from me. Meaning even Narayana is emanating from me. So, words after words, Yada yada hi dharmasya bhavati glanihi srijami atmanam. So, what is Krishna saying again and again? Krishna is saying, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is beyond all causes. All other personalities, including Narayana, Vishnu, everybody is emanating from me. I am the source of everything else. I am the cause of all causes. This is what Krishna is saying. Actually, Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad-gita. But you see, if you read any Bhagavad-gita other than Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita as it is, will you get this understanding? You will not get. So this is why Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad-gita, Rajaguhyam. This Bhagavad-gita, knowledge of the Bhagavad-gita is the greatest confidential secret. It is all in black and white. It is all in Sanskrit. If you learn Sanskrit, you can easily understand what is written there. But you cannot understand the import of what Krishna is saying unless tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Unless we surrender to a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada and serve such an acharya after surrendering to him, we cannot understand the Bhagavad-gita. Although it is in a language which we may know, it is all in black and white, everything is there, but still you will not understand. In order to understand the real import of Bhagavad-gita, which is that Krishna is the avatar, he is the source of all avatara, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everybody, every other personality, including Narayana, Vishnu, everybody else, Lord Shiva, Brahma, everybody else is emanating from him. To come to this conclusion, you need the shelter of the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, it is not possible. So, this is the great secret which is being explained in the Bhagavatam, and that is why, if we read the Srila Prabhupada's purports and translations, these things will become very clear to us. Otherwise, very difficult. So, I'll stop here. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. Anybody has any question or comment? Yes, please.
Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, actually Lord's name, form, quality and pastimes are non-different from each other.
Yes.
So in this purport, Prabhupada was telling about Lord, how each and every incarnation of the Lord displays certain quality. And Krishna shows 100% quality. He was giving about Narasimha's fingers, nails.
Yes.
Then about beauty of Vamana, everything he was describing quality.
Yeah.
So does this apply even to other aspects of the Lord, name, form, as we see Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no difference.
Yes.
So, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is even more merciful. And he has a particular form showing, like in our deity altar also, he shows a particular form of raising the two hands above his head.
Yeah.
So this form, quality, pastime, does this apply to all, Prabhu?
Yeah, in one sense it applies to all of them also. There is simultaneous oneness and difference. Although all of Krishna's holy names are non-different from him, still the Shastras state that out of all the names of the Supreme Lord, Krishna is the primary name of the Supreme Lord. It is the most fundamental name of the Supreme Lord. Although there is no difference, Krishna, Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, you may call any name of the Lord. But the name Krishna is the most primary name of the Supreme Lord. This is mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. So, if we chant Lord Rama's name, it is as good as chanting Krishna's name in one sense. Why? Because both of them will give us liberation from this material world. But what is the final destination? By chanting Lord Rama's name, you will go to Ayodhya Puri. By chanting Krishna's name, you will go to Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan, which is far higher than Ayodhya. So that way, if you see, final destination you are achieving is different. If you chant Narasimha's names, you will go to Narasimha Loka. But if you chant Krishna's name, you will go to Goloka Vrindavan. So, the holy name of the Lord is one. At the same time, there is difference also. Even the pastimes also. If you meditate upon the pastimes of Krishna in Vraja, we will go to Vraja. If we meditate on the pastimes of Krishna in Dwaraka, we will go to Dwaraka Loka. If we meditate on the pastimes of Lord Rama, we will go to Ayodhya. If we meditate on the qualities of Narayana, we will go to Vaikuntha. So the destination we achieve is also dependent upon which holy name of the Lord and which pastimes of the Lord we take shelter of. So that way there is a difference. Fundamentally speaking, there is no difference, because whether you go to Vaikuntha or you go to Ayodhya Puri or you go to Narasimha Loka or you go to Vaikuntha or you go to Krishna Loka, all of them are liberation from this material world. And you will be in your Swarupa in each of them, and in every place there is the opportunity for service to the Supreme Lord. So it is one in that sense, but still the opportunity to serve Krishna in Vraja is so exalted, so elevated, that very, very rare souls can achieve that. Understood? Yes, please.
We see in Tamil Nadu, one of the incarnations of Lord Vishnu, Neela Devi or Andal, was very much in loving relationship with Krishna.
Yeah.
But finally, when she ended her pastime, she wanted to get married to Ranganatha, and then she ended her pastime that way by merging into the deity of Ranganatha. So what is her destination in that case? Will she go to Vaikuntha Loka or is she going to Goloka Vrindavana?
She married Ranganatha. She was a devotee of Ranganatha. So naturally she will go to where Ranganatha is. And where is Ranganatha? He is in Vaikuntha. So she will go to Vaikuntha.
But she was still in loving relationship serving Krishna right from her childhood.
Yeah, might be. But then we have to understand that even though there may be devotees of Krishna also, in that devotee's heart, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Whom does that devotee accord greater importance to? Number one. Number two, also a finer aspect what we have to understand is that if a devotee who is having the Madhurya Rasa with Krishna, if that Madhurya Rasa is contaminated with Aishwarya Rasa, with a knowledge of the opulences of the Supreme Lord, then that devotee cannot reach Goloka Vrindavan. To go to Goloka Vrindavan, you should be absorbed only in the sweetness of that Madhurya Rasa, not in the opulence. So, when it comes to, when there is a contamination of Aishwarya in Bhakti, the destination is Vaikuntha Loka. But when there is no tinge of Aishwarya Bhava, it is completely imbued with the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan, then that person becomes eligible to go to Goloka Vrindavan. And even in Madhurya Rasa, to be able to go to Goloka Vrindavan and exchange Madhurya Rasa with Krishna, one has to follow in the footsteps of the Sakhis. Without following the footsteps of the Sakhis, it is not possible. So from all those perspectives, when you look at it, we can only, from whatever limited knowledge I have of Andal and all that, because I have not studied deeply what how her devotion was and all those things, but because I am simply going by the fact that she got married to Ranganatha. Whereas if you look at the gopis in Goloka Vrindavan, when Krishna disappeared from the Rasalila, they were searching desperately for Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan. And in one location they came across Krishna. He was hiding in the bushes, and Krishna saw, oh, they are coming directly at me, I'll get revealed. So he immediately manifested a 400 Narayana form and lay down there as Shesha, as Ananta Shayana. And that happened in, we know, Shesha Sai. There is a temple of Krishna also as Ananta Shayana there in Vraja. So when the gopis came and they saw Krishna in the 400 form, they said, oh, this is not our Krishna. Have you seen Krishna? If you have seen Krishna, tell us where he is. And they left the place and walked away. So you see, they are not interested in 400 form of Narayana. Whereas we can see how Andal was attracted to Narayana and she got married to him. Whereas the gopis were not interested even in Narayana. They said only Krishna. So to be able to participate in the Madhurya Rasa pastimes of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, unless one follows in the footsteps of the Sakhis, it is not possible. And that is why even Lakshmi Devi, Lalana Charat Tapo. So for a long period of time, Suchiram, for a long period of time, Vihaya Kaman, she gave up all other desire, Lakshmi Devi, Lalana, she gave up all other, Shri Lalana Charat. Lakshmi Devi is one of the best of the female consorts of the Lord. And Acharat Tapaha, she engaged in severe austerities, Vihaya Kaman, giving up all her other desires, Suchiram for a great period of time. But for what? Because she wanted to engage in the Rasalila of Krishna. But she could not enter into the Rasalila of Krishna. Why? Because she did not follow in the footsteps of a Sakhi. So, to participate in to become a resident of Goloka Vrindavan, that's why I said it is very, very rare and very, very exalted. So, that is possible to go to Goloka Vrindavan only when one becomes part of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Because this understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even of Narayana, that exists only in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the person who gave love of Krishna from Goloka Vrindavan. So, if we follow in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only is it possible to go to Goloka Vrindavan and become a resident of Vraja. Otherwise, it is not possible. All other Sampradayas can take you up to Vaikuntha Loka. They cannot take you up to Krishna Loka. Not possible. Is that okay? We'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.